Welcome again. Welcome again to Recto VRso Festival, and thank you for coming back to hear the talks of this afternoon. So we continue our conference program, and we will be focusing this afternoon on the question of curating digital art today in the virtual and in the real space.
Thank you, Elhem. Hello, everybody. Yes, this afternoon, I begin to invite Myriam Achard to come on stage. I don't know if you are. Yeah, yes, perfect. So Myriam Achard has more than 20 years of experience in public relations and press relations. And for the past 15 years, she has worked with Phoebe Greenberg to develop and promote the Canadian and international avant-garde art scene. She has been Chief New Media Partnership and Press Relations at the Phi Center, and she is the Director and Communication for the Phi Foundation for Contemporary Art. And over the past 6 years, she has created an extraordinary distribution network for immersive projects on which Phi takes part today as a co-producer as well as distributor. And Myriam, I will make your website and you can begin. I don't know if you can. Well, perfect.
Judith. Hello, everybody, and thank you for. Even though like we are all avatars, and it's actually the first time that I do something like that. So I'll do my best to talk to you and to introduce you to the Phi Center, what we do in Montreal. And I'm thrilled after that to sit on the panels with amazing people. Like, for instance, Julie, who's already in the audience, and then George that will join us later. So yes, I'm coming. I'm based in Montreal. The Phi Center is a multidisciplinary art center dedicated to all forms of art. We opened our doors 9 years ago. And this space is the project by an amazing woman. Her name is Phoebe Greenberg. She's a cultural entrepreneur, a visionary, a philanthrope, and she has built a space to really host really all forms of art, as I just said. In the last years, we really focused on putting together exhibitions that are at the intersection between art and technology. So for us, virtual reality has become something that is part of our daily life. We showed 2 to 3 major exhibitions a year dedicated to VR, AR, XR. And for us, contextualization is very, very important. So the way we are curating our exhibition, but also contextualizing the work is highly important. So at the Phi Center, for instance, you would never see just a few chairs and a few headsets. The environment in which we show the pieces are really, really, as I said, important. We are partners with Felix and Paul Studio, pioneer in the virtual reality world. And we show up, obviously, of course, their work at the center, but we are also in charge of distributing their work in the entire world. The pandemic, when it arrived last year, obviously, of course, it was a shock for us. We had to close our doors for a few months. So we decided right at the beginning of the pandemic, now that people cannot come to us anymore, the audience, our public cannot experiment our exhibition, how can we go to them? And we developed different programs. I'm just going to touch briefly on it today, but if you want to know more, you can find everything on our website, phi.ca. The first project that we put together is called Parallel Line, which was a virtual artistic residency, if you'd like. So we we made an open call for artists on the island of Montreal, where we told them, we're gonna give you an amount of money, a small amount of money, and you're gonna be producing a piece of art in your it was really like in different sectors. So we had people coming from the theater world, we had people coming from the music world, we have people coming from the XR world, and we asked them to produce a piece of art in 60 days, because at that time we thought that in 60 days, the pandemic would be over. So we got 200 applicants. We chose 10. We worked with them for 60 days, remotely, obviously, because we were not allowed to see each other. And that's why we called Parallel Line our virtual artistic residency. And at the end of those 60 days, we created an online exhibition that was hosted on one of our websites. I think if you go again on fi.ca, you will see that. And from this digital exhibition, we also created a physical exhibition, which is right now actually shown at the center, at the Phi Center in Montreal. So from the idea of the virtual artistic residency to a digital exhibition to a physical exhibition, that was really a great project for us to go through. Another project that came out of the confinement is a project called VR2Go. VR2Go is something that really came out of the brainstorming with the entire Phi team, again with the idea where what do we do that people cannot come to us anymore? How can we go into people's home? So we created this service of VR headsets that people could rent from us. They could keep them for 2 days. So we would deliver the VR headset to their home. On each headset, there was a curation of 10 films that I chose. And people could experience VR at home. And we blocked the access to the VR headset for only people to be able to watch the content that we chose for them to watch. This was a huge success. It was sold out actually right at the beginning. And this project is, even though now that our doors are opened, again, we are still offering that VR2Go project because we feel that there is really an appetite for that. We also launched VR2Go not only in Montreal, but in Quebec City, in Paris with our partners at Diversion and Le 104, and also in Luxembourg. So we are present in those 4 different locations. Two big projects that we are working on right now. We are in charge of the international distribution of Carne y Arena, the virtual reality piece directed by Alejandro Inarritu, that world premiere a couple of years ago in Cannes. So we joined forces with Inarritu and Emerson Collective to bring back this powerful experience on the road. Actually, Carne y Arena is right now shown in Montreal since it's been a month that we opened. We are sold out until mid-July, and we hope to maybe add a few dates in Montreal. And the goal for us is really to tour Carne y Arena for the next 5 years. So I'm looking for partners. I'm looking for spaces in Europe, in Asia, in North America, South America, to bring this. So, as I said, powerful piece, moving piece. I don't know if some of you saw Carne y Arena, but this is a relevant artwork that needs to be seen. And that's really like a big project we are working on right now. The last project maybe I can talk to you about is The Infinite. The Infinite is a collaboration between Felix and Paul Studio and Phi. It will be shown in Montreal this summer. World premiere will happen in Montreal. It's an experience that we are producing. As some of you might know, Felix and Paul have a VR camera on the space station. They had that camera for the last 2 years. And they are bringing back there are like the space station is sending back on Earth footage, and we are working with Felix and Paul to create an experience around that around that footage. So it's going to be called The Infinite. Will open in Montreal this summer for 4 months. It's a big experience and exhibition production also, and it's more, and we also working with on The Infinite with Ryoji Ikeda, who is a contemporary artist. Some of you might know him. So Ryoji is actually producing a piece of this experience for us. And again, for The Infinite, we are looking for partners, for locations, to travel that work throughout the world for the next 5 years. I think that's about it. I could go on, but I think I made a nice summary of what we've been working on for the last year specifically. I'll be happy to answer questions later or to just mingle and chat, and hopefully we'll be able to host you in Montreal soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Myriam. Yes, thank you for all this project, and yes, I hope to soon in Montreal. Thank you. So yes, after we can have the discussion, and you can also ask questions and continue all this discussion about project, about virtual exhibition and real exhibition, all this adaptation. And now to continue this subject, I call Julie Walsh on stage. Yes. So hi, Julie.
Hello, Judith. Hello, everyone.
Very happy you are here. And so Julie Walsh is a Chicago-based curator with a focus on contemporary Asian art and immersive technologies. She was a founder and director of Walsh Galerie in Chicago, which exhibited contemporary artworks from Asia in all mediums. She has curated numerous exhibitions in her own spaces and in others around the world. And since 2016, she has focused on the fine art application of immersive technologies, and she is the founder of MIRA, Mixed Reality Academy for the Art and Artistic Director is the Chicago Virtual Art Museum. And now, Julie, I let you to begin your presentation.
Thanks so much, Judith. And hello, everyone. Judith, of course, I want to give you a big thank you for inviting me to talk today. I can't believe it's been a year since I was up here talking, and it was the first time I had been a virtual avatar. For my presentation, I'd like to give a very brief summary of the exhibition that I curated for Recto VRso, and then I'm going to discuss other recent and upcoming projects in blended realities. My CVAM, the Chicago Virtual Art Museum, will have a series of ongoing digital art exhibitions. And here at Recto VRso, I hope you can see a link or two of the exhibitions I curated there. There will also be a preview of Transmutations, my in real life show that I hope will open in Laval in July as part of the festival. I will also have a virtual exhibition of the show Transmutation that will open concurrently as a social VR experience. For more information on these artworks, I encourage you to actually go to my room and listen to the audio links of the wonderful artists talking about their work. The shows are called Transmutation, or the act or process of changing something completely, especially into something different. These exhibits illustrate the resilience of the human body and spirit despite living in uncertain times. They explore that which universally unites us in our abilities to hope, to love, to dream, despite geopolitical, cultural, and societal failures that try to impede the natural evolution of who we are. This photo series by Tim Dewson and Manuel Zimmer with augmented reality work is called The Loving Ones, and it addresses the enduring nature of love despite the physical changes that occur with terminal illness. This slide shows the photo portal into the immersive installation. I'm going to go quickly through these slides. The next two slides are showing the photo series with the augmented reality overlays, but I thought it was important for you to see what it looked like in real life before we talked about the translation. And here's what the in real life photos also look like. Here's the historic Bandouche.
Sorry, Julie, do you change the slide now, or?
Do you see my slides changing?
No, you can click on the
we've
image
been
to
clicking
change.
the whole time.
Okay.
It's
okay
so
now?
You can't see. I'm not sure. I have been changing my slides from the beginning. So nobody's seeing my slides? That's a problem. Does one of your moderators need to help me?
Yeah, I can change for you. It's okay. I have clicked. Okay, I go to the. Okay, it's okay. You say me next, and I can change for you. Perfect.
Okay, great. Then I have to see. Yeah. So anyway, you have a look at these are the augmented reality overlays with the photo series. And actually, so am I changing them or are you changing them really quickly?
I change. I think you can't access. So I change when you speak.
Okay. So let's catch up to the Bandouche then. So people can see the recreation of how the series of photos would be overlaid in augmented reality in the Bandouche. And the next slide is artist Annalie Ann Goller, who's an AR artist, created the work Pleasure After Consciousness as a response to having PTSD from a sexual assault. She worked with an augmented reality and told the augmented reality about her sexual assault. And Nellie then incorporated the AI's response with her own to create the final text version for her piece. And in these next slides, 12 through 16, you can see how if there is an iPad and you put your hand up to the iPad, you have an accidental contact with what she calls digital queer, her avatar, when you put your hand up in front of the iPad. And lastly, you can see her piece adapted to a virtual space. And this is the teleporting gateway into her work. Slide 17 is German artist Katharina Haverick, where she creates a VR experience based on her dreams and is interested in transformation and metamorphosis in her piece Sequence of a Horse in Motion. The piece was originally a live performance in a riding ring with a trained horse and an upside-down dancer. Here are some more photos of the VR piece exhibited in a variety of venues, which I thought was interesting to see these different iterations. And lastly, here you see at CVAM, the teleporting link inside the virtual exhibition. The Mexican butterfly sanctuary in the Oyamel fir forest are the source of inspiration for artist Brenda A. Lopez Silva's XR work, Vanishing Monarch. Climate change and other factors are threatening population growth, migration patterns, and their very survival. For the Bandouche, the work could be seen as an augmented reality piece, and there will be a virtual immersive version as well. And for Tomiko Teal, you'll find Tomiko Teal's AR installation, her adaptation, In Suspended Spring, originally commissioned for the Nan Tabouche Foundation on the rooftop at CVAM in the virtual preview of the exhibition. The work is an augmented reality site-specific installation. Cherry blossoms represent the beauty and impermanence of life. The audio installation includes a traditional Japanese song called Sakura, or cherry blossoms, which is distorted so it is unrecognizable. The song acts as a memento mori in the face of now 2 springs in the time of COVID. Now I'm going to show you some other shows that I curated after the transmutation shows. The first one is Restart for the Medientage Festival in Munich last year. Restart is an international artistic reaction to the global pandemic created in a social VR virtual realm. The exhibition features seminal pioneers in digital art from 3 continents, as well as emerging artists. The creators examine in a digital form what unites and affects us all across borders. Restart is a return to look anew at the issues of identity, ecology, and failed empires in a rapidly changing reality. Can we see the fly-through of the Restart video, please?
Sorry, Julie, you want to see the video?
Yeah, there's a fly-through of Restart.
Yeah, we see the...
Your technician should have 3 different videos. Is it playing?
Yes, perfect. Yes, it's good.
Okay. Since the start of the coronavirus pandemic, our faces and bodies are on display in unprecedented ways. Tomiko Thiel and Martina Menegon ask questions of identity and our obsession with redefining the self. Artist Vivan Sundaram, a pioneer of media art from Delhi and Shenzhen, playfully challenge us to rethink our assumptions about our place in relation to the natural world. The artists examine the effects of urbanization on ecology through the eyes of latent learning with AIs and computers. In Mr. Show's work and through the experience of Indian waste pickers in Mr. Sundaram's. Both works prompt the viewer to reflect on questions of nature and natural beauty. For the category of failed empires, the digital artists Miao Xiaochun, Zhou Xiaohu, Claudia Hart, and Tim Doosan look at the passages of time and history through the lens of the canon of Western art history and literature. These reflections pose dark questions about why history repeats itself and whether humanity can learn from its repeated mistakes. In Nancy Baker Cahill's augmented reality piece draws further attention to the inequalities of historical notions of the concept of liberty. My current exhibition is also in Matzel Hubs and is called Synthetic Corporeal Reality. The show is for the grand opening, the Meet Digital Culture Center in Milan's virtual exhibition space. Synthetic Corporeal Reality was the first social VR exhibition back at Cultural Institute in Italy, and you can see it in my room here at the festival. Throughout the canon of art history, artists have used the body as a canvas to explore political, social, and cultural ideology. Synthetic Corporeal Reality examines work by 11 international artists who have chosen the body as a vessel for the realization of their artistic goals. Can you show, please, the video of the fly-through for Synthetic Corporeal Reality?
Yes, it's okay.
I'm going to turn around and face you for a second. I am almost out of time, so I just wanted to rush to the end of my presentation and tell you that I'm very excited about two upcoming NFT shows that I'm curating. The first is called The Bardot Unpacking the Real and opens May 20th on a new platform called Feral File. And can we just show the last video, please? The show is called Unpacking the Real, and it evolved to explore concepts of the real and unreal, in which artists have used the idea of NFTs as important to the creation of their work. And I just want to show you a sneak peek of this image.
Yeah, perfect.
Maybe I'll look at the screen.
Yeah, we
you see the video?
Screen.
Okay,
yeah,
great.
Perfect.
Wonderful. So that piece is by artist Sophie Kahn, who also made the giant sculpture that you saw in my synthetic corporeal reality. And the work is inspired by Victorian spirit photos and talks about the relationship between death and technology. And you can actually buy it as an AR app of this ghost and have it in your home. And I don't have time to show you the other images from the show, but I'd also just like to mention that I'm doing a show in Paris, a virtual show, September 20th, that combines digital sculpture with topiaries. And I'm hoping to find a real life partner, also to show the work in Paris during FIAP. And that's it. Thank you so much for your attention. It's great to be back.
Thank you, Julie. Thank you very much, Julie, for the presentation of your project, virtual adaptation to very, very interesting. And we continue the discussion after. And I call now George Vitale to come on stage, and you can begin to set up your presentation if you want. And so,
hello.
George, hello, George.
Yes, let me set up the presentation. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
so George Vitale is an exhibition maker and artistic director based in Berlin. His area of focus is the impact of technology and the digital on society through the lens of art and the artist's eyes. And in 2017, he founded the first VR-based art gallery called Synthesis. And George, I let you continue.
Could you help me out?
Okay.
I just need to copy paste the link of my exhibition. I can't find it. Where do I need to paste it?
Yeah. It's okay. You
oh,
see
fantastic.
Cool.
Can I? Oh, yes, nice.
And
okay.
to go to the next slide, you have just to click
Yeah.
on the presentation tool, so you can see the public if you want to. You can turn and.
Yeah. Can we actually go back to the first slide? If you could help me with that, that would be awesome. Because I just clicked. Yes, exactly. If you could we could start from there, but that would be awesome.
I don't. It's the first slide here. It's okay.
Yes, it's
perfect.
appearing. That's perfect. Thank you so much.
You can click on the slide in the presentation tool, and you can go to the next slide.
Yes, thank you. Well, first off, thank you so much for having me. Thank you, Judith, Ursula, Elhem, and the team at Laval and Recto for organizing this state of art of festival for digital art. I've spent some time wandering around, and I've greatly enjoyed everyone's efforts. Truly remarkable. So I will for my presentation, since the topic of the conversation of the talk is the curation of offline versus online exhibitions, I would like to introduce you to what we have, what Synthesis. I represent Synthesis as the founder and director of Synthesis Gallery. I would like to walk you through what we have, our approach towards visual and digital art exhibitions. I will start off with very few highlights from our real life exhibitions. So for example, We have worked in the past with Michael Takeo-Magruder, who is a very accomplished artist, who's been working for the British Museum, the British Library. And the bottom right, you will see like a shot of the installation. This exhibition, for example, that we did in September 2019 was selected and recommended by Berlin Art Week. Another important exhibition that we did goes back to December 19, where we exhibited Evelyn Benchikova, her work "Artificial Tears." Her work is a dystopian oniric dream that the main character experiences in the VR, and it's a metaphor of like the mainstream of the mainstream views, women's views on photography, right? And so moving things forward, yes, I would like to bring up, of course, Mark Lee. Mark Lee is in the history, in art history, is for sure one of those representatives. Mark is considered one of the fathers of new media art, and I've been so lucky to work with Mark in multiple occasions. And this was precisely, as you can see, the first opening show of Synthesis in April 2019. Mark Lee uses technology to specifically what you're seeing in this image is his work called 10,000 Moving Cities, in which new social media posts from Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram are extrapolated in real time, and you can select, you first select any city in the world, and then the social media posts from all of these social media platforms are taken in real time. And what you see precisely here is that those posts are basically then attached to the city, to the city skyline. And so it's a beautiful representation, a beautiful window, a beautiful sociological study of what's going on in the specific society at a specific point in time. Now, I wanted to start with our physical exhibitions, because then the pandemic started. I do not see the images here to the right. I don't know what the reason is, but basically when the pandemic started, we at Synthesis sat together and thought of like ways in which we could still bring VR art to the masses and educate those who are not, were new to the medium. So the walkthrough program was conceived conceived on Zoom as technology, in which the artists will like start the VR file and put like and share the screen with us. And so once the artist had the headset, beautiful. No, this is feelings. You need to go a little bit. Yes, yeah, here. I don't know why like the videos, the images are not shown, but anyways, so in for walkthroughs, the artist will basically was going to share his or her screen while starting the VR file, so we could actually see from home what the artist was seeing in the VR. And we started off with a series of 3 events, but the project was so successful that we ended up actually doing 7 of those. And the press coverage was extensive. The walkthroughs are still available on our YouTube channel or on social media platform like Facebook, and I think they were watched more than like 15,000 times worldwide. So it was a really good way to talk about, to like educate and show VR in spite of the limitations given by the pandemic. And now I understand why. So these are some of the, for example, some of the artists that we work with for walkthrough, where, for example, artists that are dear, for example, to Myriam, I know, like John Buick-Berber, Claudia Art for Julie, Armin Keplinger, Lajune Macmillan, Martina Menegon, Pastor Placek, Alfredo Salazar-Caro. Moving things forward, then when we entered the second phase, the phase 2 of the pandemic, we realized that people were literally eager for physical contact. And so the 2D option provided by Zoom wasn't enough. So one trend that we've seen coming out of the pandemic was indeed the blossoming on new social web VR platform and the widespread popularization of the already existing platforms. Among those, Mozilla Hubs that we at Synthesis like very much because it's an open source platform built for artists and it's completely free. And Feelings was a show indeed that we opened in November 2020, and it was the first show on Mozilla Hubs. The show was precisely focused on the illusion provided by this technology, new technology that arose during the pandemic, like Zoom, for example, that really couldn't keep up with the collectivity. We're providing us with a reductive image of collectivity. For Feelings, we exhibited works by Ajao, Matteo Gant, Claudia Art, Lajina Macmillan, Martina Menegon, and Katie Schulz. The show was viewed, like, I think we had about more than 10,000 visitors, sorry, more than 1,000 visitors for this show. And it was absolutely fantastic, with a series of events throughout the exhibition, among which, for example, a poetry reading and also a sound performance. Moving things forward, Recollecting Future is the exhibition on Mozilla Hubs that is currently on view, that we actually opened a few weeks ago, I believe. And the exhibition is about the archive and how we archive, how we process information and archive and use the use of archival methods in the post-digital era, in times where, like, Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, Pinterest, they already provide these archival methods. How do we actually process information? What's being saved? What's being let go? And the exhibition is currently on view, on display. I encourage everyone to visit the room in the Recto VRso conference, in the Recto VRso area, next to Myriam and Julie. You will be able to actually access the exhibition from there. Otherwise, just head to synthesis.gallery and the link would be easy to find. Another important project that we carried on is called Immersive Art. Immersive Art is our rental platform, and it's a platform through which anyone in the UK or European Union can rent an headset for 1 week. We ship it anywhere in the EU and the UK, and we curate the content on the headset. So the very first show on headset that we organized was called Uncharted Territories, featuring works by Kamiko Thiel, Patrizia Detmering, and Armin Keplinger. And this exhibition was again a big success because we shipped headset like in France, in Germany, in Austria, in Italy, and with the feedback that we received from people was fantastic. They really loved it. Soon we will launch the second sort of like Immersive Art 2.0, which is the app on the Oculus store, through which we will be able to enter the North America market, offering the same works that we offer for those want to rent an headset. And of course, the technology is the state-of-art technology. Anyone one can either rent an Oculus Go or an Oculus Quest. Yes, so the last thing, my last slides of my presentation is a sneak peek of my upcoming, I don't know what happened. Yes, perfect. It's my upcoming NFT show. It's called Thesis Controversial, featuring an eclectic mix of very well-established artists, emerging artists, and it's the focus of the exhibition, of course, it's going to be all about NFTs, so the works are going to be tokenized. My focus, my pressing curatorial objective was to showcase the possibilities, showcase what we have not seen yet in the NFT scene. And we are relying on, in order to do that, we are offering and selling artworks in many different digital art media. For example, we are selling digital objects, so physical sculptures, for example, along with AR app, along with works that use blockchain as the medium, but also digital and video and digital prints. last but not least, again, I think I'm done with my presentation. I wanted to thank you for your time. In case you will have any question for me, feel free to reach out via email. And thank you again, Judith, and the team Recto. Thank you to the amazing speakers who preceded me, Myriam and Julie. And yeah, thank you again for having me.
Thank you, George. Thank you very much for your presentation. And after also, you can with a discussion, all people can ask you a question and beginning.
Happily, yes. Should I stay on up on stage or should I go down?
Just after, yes, you just after. You can stay here, sit,
okay.
and but if you want, yes, you can sit here if you want. Perfect.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, George. So now I will call Valérie Hasson-Benillouche to come on stage.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Valérie.
Hi, Judith. How are you?
Fine, and you? I'm very pleased
fine, thank you.
You're here. And so, Valérie, you can begin to launch your presentation. And so I can present you. So Valérie, you're a pioneer and committed to the digital world. And you're the founder of the Galerie Charlot. Initially working in the world of fashion, Valérie has traveled the world and lived in Paris, Tokyo, Milan, Madrid. And it is through these travels that her passion for art is revealed and she begins her personal collection. Valérie opened the Galerie Charlot in Paris and then in Tel Aviv, whose vocation is to represent artists from digital world. And now, Valérie, I let you begin.
Thank you, Judith. Hi, everyone. It's really nice to be here and also to share my experience in this contemporary art world as a digital, really focus on digital art. So I begin I don't know if you could see the different slides or
no,
maybe
not yet.
Not yet. Do I have to do something special? Let me see. Yeah. Here we are.
Perfect. Okay.
Okay. So first of all, I just present myself. So I'm Valérie Hasson-Benillouche, and I really enjoy to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. And I guess we're going to talk about the real and virtual world of the digital artwork. So I opened just a summary of the Galerie Charlot, very short one, which is the Galerie Charlot. Well, first of all, I show you my real face maybe, so you can see the virtual and the real system. Is it working? I don't think.
Do you try the webcam?
No, no.
No.
I'm trying to pass to the second.
Yes.
Here we are. No, okay. So this is the real and the virtual. So you can see that there's a kind of gap between those two. But so we can talk about that later on if you want to. But anyway, so right after, I just wanted to have a summary of the Galerie Charlot. It's kind of difficult to pass to the oh, okay, it takes a little bit of time. Okay. So this is the two different areas that I have. I have one, I opened the Galerie Charlot 10 years ago in Paris and about 4 years ago in Tel Aviv. And I really wanted to offer a different kind of contemporary art that we couldn't see actually at that time in different galleries that I've been going on with clients and for myself. So new technology, science, and art would be really mixed and linked together for myself. I mean, this is really something that I really defend since 10 years. And I discovered this kind of art 15 years ago. I know that it exists since a long time, but I didn't know it before. So the gallery represents about 15 artists, all digital artists. And we organize about 8 exhibitions a year in those two spaces in Tel Aviv and Paris. And sometimes we organize and we participate to different kind of exhibitions outside with in collaboration with curators of art centers and museums. And we participate also to different art fairs, international art fairs. So as you could see here, you have like an exhibition in Paris for the 10th year's anniversary, where we really wanted to show the different kind of digital artwork you can find as a generative, print, interactive, or plotter drawing. So it's really a kind of a resume of the different kind of digital artists we represent. And also we've been exhibiting also a different kind of immersive space, because we have in Paris the space is on two levels. So we have the second level, which is a bit dark, and we can really organize and install an immersive artworks, so like projection or screen or sometimes interactive. As in Tel Aviv, it's a little bit different because we have a very different space and the light is very strong here. So we have like a very classical area with stones. So it's very interesting also to mix this digital artworks with very ancient places where you have the memory of the ancient things. And I think it's very important to link those two vision, like the super contemporary vision and the very old culture. So this is something that I really enjoy to have here. So we've been working with different kind of brands like Hermès or Martigues or private banks or Société Générale, whatever. And we try to put the artworks, I mean, the digital artworks in the companies, of course. But I have to say that first of all, really the first clients was private clients. So in 10 years, I really could see the difference between the interest of clients now and 10 years ago. So the private clients were really the first buyers. And then we have the foundations, and then we have the museum and centers. So hopefully we had curators who really supported us and trying to explain what was the purpose of this digital artwork and art word, of course. And finally, we could see that the interest in the different museum and art center for digital art. So as you can see, first of all, I wanted to say that I'm really more into real experience as an exhibition than virtual one. Even if virtual, I think it's really helpful. Of course, for real exhibition, you have to prepare everything. But first of all, the first really big difference is, as you create an exhibition, you always have to find the real great art piece to go inside the space. As the virtual space, you always have the possibility of multiply different kind of piece of art. So the space is adapted to the art piece in virtual, and in real, you have to do the contrary, which is not so easy. So, of course, you can see on those pictures that some artists are really working inside the gallery and, you know, trying to make it happen in a different space. So this is really one of the first difference, I guess, from the real and the virtual exhibitions. And then there's also something that I think which is very important is the cost. The cost of an exhibition as a real one is much more expensive than in virtual ones. You have to think about the insurance, you have to think about the transport, you have to think about the production of the artwork. as you really have to present it. On virtual, sometimes it's not necessary to produce totally the artwork. So this is something very interesting also to think about it. Then you have also the difference of the experience. The experience of an artwork when you go to a place to discover different pieces, it's really an experience that you can share with someone. First of all, you think about, you have to take your time, and in your daytime, you have to take your time, and then you go and discover with friends, and you exchange, and you have memories, and you have impressions, whatever. So it's really something very different as you go to an exhibition, experienced it, and exchange. So I don't know. I've been trying to upload some videos. I'm not sure those videos could work. Maybe Judith, you can help me on how you can make them work.
You want to launch a video, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's worked.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's worked.
So this one was in Linz. So you can see that the people really react and play with it. So this is Christa Sommerer and Laurent Mignonneau. And it's something, so this is one of the experience you can have. Of course, in virtual world, you can have this kind of experience, but you're most of the time alone in front of your screen or in front of your, screens most of the time. So I think this is something very, very different. And there's also something that we try to make in the different spaces. We try to make some events, because I think it's very important also to create a relation between our clients and artists. So the relation, the human relation, is really something very important. And it's true in virtual exhibition, it's kind of difficult sometimes, even if we, of course, talk all together. And I mean, the experience and the human relation is a bit different. So I really like, and we really enjoy to make some events at the gallery and trying to exchange, and the people know each other, and sometimes they really get in touch and they keep in touch all together. So, which is really nice. There's also something we try also to do is to organize exhibition outside, like on the facade of the gallery, on the facade of any kind of buildings. So sometimes we work with partnership from different brands as a video projectors or whatever. I'm not going to tell who is it, but because it's not publicity. But we try to exhibit artworks outside. And outside, it's really funny because it creates something very different. So the people, so it's in real time, but then it begins to be in virtual times. As soon as the people just passing through, just take pictures, take videos and everything, and put them on the different medias. And this is something that I really enjoy, because then it's really the experience of someone in just sharing it on a virtual support. And I think this is very interesting, because all the different impressions and that the people take for the same artworks outside is really very different. So it's very interesting to see the different impression of different people with exactly the same artworks that they saw somewhere else. So what else? What else? So what could I say again? I think there's also something with the pandemic. I mean, with this pandemic season, we can say that we developed like an e-store, because that was something very easy to do, and of course it helps a lot. We cannot sell the same kind of artworks through e-store than in the gallery because, as I said, the experience is very different. And also the people sometimes need to see and to experiment the artworks. So we have this e-store thing, which is very helpful again. And we're still trying to make a different exhibition. And I hope in Paris we could be open very soon and invite you to come and have a coffee and talk and real human relations. So thank you very much for this invitation, and I'm really open for any kind of questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Valérie, and I hope to come in your gallery to take a coffee.
Yes, thank you
Thank you very much. So to Myriam, to Julie, George, and Valérie for this passionate reflection about virtual exhibition, real exhibition. And now I call all you on stage and let Elhem to do the discussion. Thank you again very much.
Thank you, Judith, and thank you all for your presentation and for this very rich content. So I hope it's not too loud. Is it okay now?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, cool. So let's begin the debate. And actually, there is something that caught my attention in all your presentations, but I want to ask the question in a different way. So, from your point of view, and when the lockdown was announced, what was your first reaction, your first thought about how to continue to create, exhibit, and promote art? You said few things about it, but I would like to hear more. We can maybe begin with Myriam.
Yes, sure, merci. So as I said, I think during my presentation, you know, when we closed our doors on March 13, we had no idea that it would be for so long. So because we are used, you know, to curate exhibition for a physical space, it took us a while before really getting in, you know, like before realizing that it would be really longer than we thought. So for us, like curating for the virtual world, curating for virtual galleries became something that was of highly interest for us. Those ideas of curating for virtual platform, we had them, you know, in the back of our mind, but it was not a priority. Because of the situation, because of the pandemic, then this became a priority. And today, of course, we are still curating for a physical space, but we are really exploring more and more the creation for virtual worlds and virtual platforms. And we see that really as complementary. You know, it's not one or the other. It's not one against the other. It really, it needs to feel complementary.
Thank you, Myriam. Julie, what about you?
You know, it's interesting because when the pandemic happened, it was literally a week before South by Southwest when I was supposed to be doing a panel. And one after the other, all of these major international lectures I was supposed to do and projects were canceled. And my first reaction was to actually start a VR interview series in a virtual world. And Giorgio Vitale was the first person that I interviewed, which is how we became friends. And that was very exciting to me, that I could reach across continents and be in touch with people and be creating educational interviews of people in the XR community that could be shared online. So that was my first reaction. And then that fall, I was invited to curate an exhibition, the Restart show for the Medientage Festival in Munich. And that really opened my eyes in so many ways. And it was so, so very exciting to feel like, it doesn't matter that there's no physical museums that are open, I can still curate shows. It was very, very liberating. And then that led to curating the grand opening show for the Meet Cultural Center in Milan, which was absolutely remarkable. But just to be there at the opening for the Medientage Festival or the Meet exhibition with people from all over the world at the same time, looking at art, talking about art, it's still a very exciting concept, and I don't think that that's going to go away. I think even when the pandemic is over, people are going to enjoy this new way of viewing art.
Yes, I share your opinion, Julie. What about you, George?
Hi. So for us, so we closed we actually had a show in September. We were very lucky to actually had a IRL, like a physical real show in September, but the pandemic hit us exactly right after we closed one show with Sandrine Demure in February. So what we did was like, I have to be honest. I mean, I don't want to come off as a disrespectful towards the losses and the importance of this crisis by all means. But I really approach this as an opportunity. Like every crisis is an opportunity. So we just sat and we said, all right, what we can do now to since now we can now have we can show like art in our gallery. What can we do instead? And so we started thinking, and we came out with like I talked about in the presentation, we came out with the walkthrough program, which was a huge success. And then as we have seen the need for people to move from 2D solutions like the walkthroughs, which is an online series, to 3D. So virtual environments, the so-called nowadays like metaverses, we adjust again and we realized and we made exhibition on hubs. Feelings, again, one of those exhibitions. So I would say yes, of course we have like Julie, like Myriam, we lost a lot of opportunities because we had a lot of stuff lined up, but at the same time we created opportunities for ourselves by through the program that we came up with. So yeah, I hope this answers your question.
Yes, definitely, George. And Valérie, you talked about the e-store. That can you tell more also about your reaction, how you came up with this idea?
Yes. First of all, it was really something very difficult we are commercial. I mean, the gallery is a commercial statement. So first of all, we had to think about how to sell, how to show, of course, but how to sell, because showing, you can take pictures. We have a lot of medias, Instagram and everything, Facebook, whatever. It's easy to show, but to sell, it's something different. So that's why we really have to think about how we can get in touch with our clients and make them, buy some artworks. So we decided to make this e-store and to create it. It was not so easy because you really have to find the right place and it helps, but it was not something that I was really super happy about it. I mean, it helps, it's okay, but it's not like a révélation, it's something really, okay, it's a plus. And As you said before, I guess we all learn in this kind of crisis situation. And what we learn is there's always possibility um, of purchase any kind of artworks if you really get into the different kind of technology system. But what we also learn is as soon as we could open again for like 1 month or 2 months, I don't remember, in Paris, then we had so many people just came to the gallery to experience, to talk, to see, to meet people, artworks. It was really incredible. So I think that was the really positive result, is even with the e-store, even with the different emails and contacts that we did to sell artworks, the people just came out like crazy when it was possible to come and see the artworks at the gallery to buy. So it was, you know, it was the first step to get out of this difficult financial situation.
Thank you, Valérie. And you talked about because you said that you also you wait for the moment that you can open the gallery again and host exhibitions again. And you said during your presentation that you talked about the pleasure actually of seeing how people react to in front of the same art piece in different ways. And was that the reason why you maybe didn't choose to make virtual exhibitions in a virtual or 3D space? I'm just curious.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think it's you know, it's very personal, because I think, I mean, I'm going to different virtual exhibitions, of course, and I think the experience is very pleasant. But I'm not sure I would buy, you know, something like an artwork I've never seen, and which is kind of you know, a purchase, so it's not like super cheap. I'm not sure I would buy it, you know, as an artwork, piece of art. So it's true that I think the experience of seeing, touching, moving, talking about an artwork, something that would not be replaced by the virtual world. Even if this virtual world is really super active, super, I mean, really in advance and very nice and pleasant, whatever. But I think to share, just to share, you know, share the emotions that we could have with a friend, with family, with someone we don't even know. It's really something essential, I think, for art. And I don't think it would be possible for the moment. Maybe it will be in the future. Maybe they will invent and create different kind of technology system that we could really share our emotions, you know, through the virtual system. But for the moment, it's very difficult. So I think hopefully we can keep this this vision of the virtual as a helpful and very interesting and new vision of discovering art. But to buy art, it's a different system. So it's true that I prefer to have this relation inside the space or even outside, but in a real space with a different person and different vision and emotions.
Thank you, Valérie. That actually brings another question to my mind. Maybe it is more directed to George and Julie and Myriam. Of course, you can you can say something if you feel like answering this question. But I wonder now, what is exactly required to exhibit in the virtual space? What are the specificities actually of curating digital art in a virtual space? Maybe a reflection about scenography, the nature also, and the status of the art object. George, maybe you can begin.
Yes. So, so you're asking me what's needed to curate a show in like the digital realm? Is that what you're asking me?
Yes.
Okay, so I will say first of all, you need what's really important is you need an environment, a virtual environment, and this is like the most important choice that you need to start from, and you need to understand what you want to do. For example, I'm not a big fan, um, I'm a big fan of um, environments, virtual environments that truly take advantage of the infinite possibilities offered by the digital. um like I was praising Mozilla Apps, and I still think that it's like an amazing tool because it not only offers you the possibility to actually organize and put together a show, an exhibition, but also like it gives you the possibility for like virtual hangouts or like video conferences or just meetings, um or just like like larger events. um then when it comes, I mean, what's really important, I think it's the curatorial standpoint. So the virtual environment is important because it creates the playground in a way, right? It's sort of like a little bit of the fundamentals. Then of course there needs to be a curatorial standpoint, right? So what are you actually trying to do? What are you trying to achieve? Who is your audience? What are you trying to speak to? Of course, what are the other artists that match your curatorial standpoint and your curatorial premises, what you want to do and what you want to communicate with your show. Then of course there is the issue of there is the important objective of like presenting these artworks, right? Of course, if those like you work with artists working in the digital, those artworks are naturally conform to to a digital environment. But of course the selection of the artists is truly important, and the artworks. But I would say also how these artworks are exhibited is also very important. So always putting works in their right context, right native context. So this is very important. So what else? What else is left? Oh, the presentation, of course. The presentation must be is crucial as well. And I would say I think this should be enough for now. Yeah.
Thank you, George, for your answer. Julie?
Yes, I'm so glad you asked me about this because I just did actually a 2-hour workshop at the Meet Digital Culture Center virtually on how to design an exhibition. So one of the first things I would encourage people is to actually think about the most important thing is which platform are you going to use for your needs? And the other thing is you really need to have great backup for all of your assets that you're using. And in Mozilla Hubs, it's incredibly important that you create a designated training room with clear tutorials, because most people who go into Mozilla Hubs, as well as other virtual spaces, don't actually know what they're doing. And so it really affects the user interface if you don't know how to go forwards or backwards. And then also, I think it's important to have a plan B in case something very unexpected happens, like the server crashes. For my Medientage show, the server crashed not once, but 3 times at each moment I was about to save the entire exhibition on a backup. So, and lastly, a couple of other things, triple the amount of time you think that it's going to take to actually make a virtual exhibit. It's very, very time consuming to even move a title from the right to the left. And extra time allotment, design exhibition spaces.
Thank you, Julie. And Myriam, do you have something also to say about the exhibitions in the virtual space? If you are planning on making this kind of exhibitions, and what requires for you to organize a show in a 3D space?
You know, I think that Julie and George addressed most of the important consideration to think of when you curate for the virtual world, for virtual platform. Sorry, maybe the one thing I could address, I could add, sorry, is that if you curate for a show in virtual reality, and then that you need really a headset to enjoy, you know, the let's say an exhibition, not only on the desktop but really in virtual reality. I think to think about mediation in the virtual reality is a very interesting topic and aspect, and I mean, mediation at the Phi Center of Montreal is something that we really emphasize on, and it's, for us, it's really part of the experience that when people are coming to the center to discover our exhibition, our mediators are making, you know, a big difference on whether they will have a great experience or not. So I would definitely put the emphasis on mediation in virtual reality when you show some exhibitions in virtual world.
Yes, this is a very interesting point. I personally was wondering, like, about how to mediate art actually in the virtual space, and what are the challenges actually of this kind of mediation. What do you think?
I can actually speak to that a little bit to just bounce off what Myriam is talking about. So one of the great things about going to the Phi centers is all the attendance. They have a huge staff to make sure that there's no tech issues, that you feel comfortable with the headsets, everything is cleaned immaculately before you put it on. And I think that I can discuss a virtual equivalent for my exhibit at the Meet Digital Culture Center. They had a full staff of 6 people greeting people in their tutorial room, in their welcome room. And so as each new person came in, immediately there was a person to greet you and say, hello, is this your first time here? You know, and actually to then start the experience of training the person. And of course, if they knew what they were doing, then they were told where to go to teleport into the next space. But I think it was really quite something to feel this kind of institutional level support. And I know for my recent projects at CVAM, I've taken the same approach where I have CVAM staff to greet people as they go into the space during an opening or event. And I also think it's very important to have technical support, people that are on hand in the virtual space that can immediately see if somebody's having an audio problem, then they refer you to another technician who is on a Zoom call who can fix it for you and walk you through things. So there are a lot of different ways of creating that same feeling of care for the people who do have these virtual experiences.
Yes, yeah. And I'm also curious about something else. I get back to Myriam, and it's about how to translate actually a virtual art piece in the real space, and vice versa. Myriam, you talked about the project Parallel Lines and the virtual artistic residency that was supposed to last for 60 days, and after that there is an exhibition that was planned in the physical space. So can you tell more about how you thought about this translation, or in what terms you put it? Translation, adaptation, maybe restitution. How you planned this physical exhibition, conceptually and technically speaking?
So yeah, so Parallel Line, like from virtual artistic residency to a digital exhibition to a physical exhibition. This is really like the three points that we did with those artists, and to go from the digital exhibition to the physical exhibition, this was a very, very intensive work that we did in collaboration with the artists. So we did not, decide how it should be shown. We worked with each of them. There were 10 artists, and so I think adaptation is definitely the right word, and because it was, like they came from very different background. Like as I said earlier, we had artists in the music world, photography, painting, even author, like literary artists. So for each of them, we spoke, like our team spoke with them for hours, really, to find the best way to restitute it in the physical world. So like adaptation would be really definitely the key word here.
Yeah. Thank you, Myriam. And maybe Valérie, if I'm wondering, and I'm again curious about something. Did you ever consider digitizing a digital artwork, or something like that can be experienced in different ways? Or you maybe already answered the question earlier, but I'm just curious again about since you also exhibit in Galerie Charlot interactive art. So is this interactive art can be experienced outside of the gallery, like in a virtual space?
Well, I think first of all, I just wanted to say that which is very different in this panel is the gallery is really a commercial space, and I insist about that, which is because the main problematic for a gallery to be closed is the difficulty to sell artworks. Of course, the center, museum, institution also, they have to, they close and they don't have the people coming in and everything, and it's very difficult. But it's not the same kind of topic to create an exhibition in institution and to create an exhibition in a gallery. I mean, we have to think about differently. So this is the first thing I wanted to share, because I really agree with Myriam and Julie, who said, who were talking about this virtual system, that you really have to choose the apps and to make the experience of the visitor really pleasant and to adapt all the mediation around it. So I think this is really something very important for this kind of experience in virtual exhibitions. To answer to your question, considering the interactive artwork, I mean, on virtual system, I think there's very few possibility of showing art, because to show an interactive, I mean, if I present an interactive artworks as the one of Christa and Laurent, for example, Christa Sommer and Laurent, you know, they made an interactive artwork with flies. So we present one of them, And it was really a success in different fairs, in the galleries, and the people experience, play with it. And it was really super interesting to see the different reaction of the people and even the reaction of the people around. So, and it was inside and with, but to make this happen outside of the building, for example, they did one exhibition. I mean, they made this artwork for a tower in Hong Kong, which is just a huge project. I didn't put it in my presentation. I should have, but really, I really ask you to go and see Hong Kong Tower and Cristal and Laurent, and you will see. So they adapt this interactive artwork for outside, and I think this is also the same kind of vision that we have to make when we do a virtual exhibition and a real exhibition. It's to adapt certain piece of art for virtual space and for real space. I think it's always a little bit a gap between those two kind of artworks. So it's very important to think about that before, that some artworks are not possible to be shown on virtual space, but easy to be and better to be seen. I mean, to be shown on real space. And if they have to go on virtual space, then they need to be adapted. As we have to choose the apps for a virtual exhibition, we have to choose the right artworks and make it happen the most pleasant way on virtual experience.
Thank you, Valérie. About this adaptation, adapting according to the real or the virtual space, does this adaptation, according to you, in some way alter the nature of the artwork or change the nature of the artwork? I address this question to all of you, and maybe I can give to Giorgio the word.
The problem with adaptation is definitely like something that needs to be taken into consideration thoughtfully. Of course, there are artworks that don't fit the digital realm, but are better suited for a physical installation. I'm thinking, for example, referencing to my presentation, the artwork by Evelyn Benchikova, for example, that comes with like 5 large-scale prints. Of course, that kind of setup will not be possible or applicable in the digital. But on the other end, there are cases instead in which the artwork is adapted to the digital and is glorified, right? So what I think it's important to understand is truly like the nature of the work. It's important to talk to the artist, of course, and understand the nature of the work. And then it's the curator's job to actually opt for one or the other. But I have encouraged artists adapting works to the digital and with excellent results. Of course, in some case might not be possible, but in some cases is. So it really depends on the nature of the artwork, as I was saying, and the understanding of how much the boundaries of it can be pushed, and if it's really worth it adapting the work to the digital.
Thank you, George. And Julie, what about you? Do you think there is any limits to adapt an artwork from the real to the virtual and the vice versa?
I think when you're dealing with talented and creative and brilliant artists, the definition of an artist is somebody who can think outside of the box and be adaptable. And what I found to my absolute delight is working with digital artists, for example, who had never before worked in Mozilla hubs, were able to reinterpret their ideas very strongly, and most of all, to recreate the feeling of their work. And it's quite it's really well simulated. If you go into my CVAM here at Recto VRso, you can see the transmutation show, which is a preview. So the works are still in progress. It's almost like doing an artist studio visit, but it's quite interesting to see the leap that people made from these physical manifestations of their work into virtual iterations. And I feel very strongly that if the artists are creative and they're determined, that they can go for it and really create these same feelings and sensibilities and recontextualize their work in a virtual space successfully.
Thank you, Julie, and thank you all for sharing your visions with us. Maybe we can take a couple of questions from the public. You can write your questions down in the chat box. I see Natalia Velikanova writing something. So how many people used VR to go? This is question.
Yeah. So Natalia, it's a tricky question. We launched VR to go in Montreal in the spring of 2020. We have, I'm just going to speak about Montreal for now. I'm not going to speak about the other cities. So we have 75 headsets available for the island of Montreal. We only deserve the island of Montreal. And for the first few months, where we were all in very heavy confinement, it has been sold out, for I would say for the first 2 or 3 months. So 75 headsets available. People can rent on 2 days of the week. So because we knew, there's a lot of operational tasks to be done. So it's 2 days of the week. Let's say 150 headsets every week, rented for at least sold out for at least 3 to 4 months. But then for the rest of the year, where it was summer, cultural spaces were open again. We were not sold out, but it was very good. So what I'm trying to say is, to give you exact numbers is very hard, but I would say that we at least had, I'm tempted to say 2,000 locations, people renting. But don't forget, one person rents for its own home, but how many people are in this home? Are there 4 people, 5 people? So it's very hard to give exact numbers on how many people were able to see the content. But we're very happy about the results of that project.
Thank you, Myriam. We have another question from Elise Asport. Have you got, all of you, some examples of innovative scenographies in virtual curating? Something that you've never experimented in real world? Maybe Julie or Giorgio. Yes?
Yeah.
Yes, Julie, please.
I think some example, well, I'm kind of biased about this, but some of the really fun things I was able to do with the synthetic corporal reality show at the Meet Digital Culture Center was to take an actual 3D laser scanned object from Buto dancers, from models actually, and then turn them into giant giant monumental sculpture, which you saw in the video. And we created a waypoint, which means you click on this little like a monitor and it says go to aerial view, and automatically you fly to the top of the sculpture. And when you're at the top of the sculpture, you can fly down through the sculpture, and you have this whole different experience of looking out around you. And then in CVAM, with the same sculptural piece, I actually put it in Lake Michigan. And I have another thing where you can fly over to the sculpture, and you can look back at the museum, and then you can fly back. But flying around is really a great way of experiencing digital artwork. And, you know, you get to defy gravity, and gives you an entirely different perspective on video works, on sculptures, on architecture. So I thought that was a pretty innovative use of the digital.
What about you, George? Do you have something to say about this particular question?
Yeah, with regard to sonographies, I will encourage. Again, I need to refer to like one of the best actually setups that we use. That I'm referencing to my presentation and the work by Evelyn Benchikova. For that exhibition, we rented a former bank that was built in the early 1900 in downtown Berlin. And the bank came with a vault, with the original vault downstairs in the basement. And so with the work by Evelyn naturally fit the environment and the vibe of the venue, and these large scale projections gave a new sense of space and time in a way, because the visitor could have just walked into the venue and experience Evelyn's and go downstairs where we had another VR work by Armin, whose thematics were perfect in line with the darkness and the silence recreated by a vault, by a vault room. This is for the real. With regard to the physical, I probably need to rely to the exhibition that we have currently on display, Recollecting Futures. It's an environment that is very, it's incredibly atmospheric, where works are, sort of like semi-hidden. And so there is the feeling of discovery. And the works are strategically placed, of course. And the setup scenography of Recollecting Futures is something that we actually spent a lot of time on. But yes, I need to reference to these two examples, because in my projects, I believe those would be two good instances of creating a specific creating a specific scenography. Yeah.
Thank you, George. Do we have any other questions from the public?
I could just maybe add something that one day, of course, VR, to exhibit VR in a gallery, it's kind of tricky. It's very difficult to exhibit this kind of work, as you have to pass the glasses to one person to another one. It's kind of fragile sometimes and whatever, but I think the experience is really interesting, of course. And we present once an artwork of Michael Margolis, and he made a very simple thing that makes you famous, and you've been clapped for like 20 minutes by people just going up on a podium, wearing these glasses, VR, and then you begin to be like a star. for 20 minutes. That was very stupid, very simple, but the people after this kind of experience, they were like super positive. They gain, you know, happiness and everything. So sometimes it's very simple. And it could help. So maybe we could use it also for helping people, you know, for this kind of positive mentality and psychologic system.
True, true. um, um, maybe just it's less a question. If there's not other questions, maybe uh, I can say something. It's more a comment than a question, actually. It's about the content, what to exhibit. And especially George and Julie, you talked about the social and political and dimension of the artworks that have been exhibited in the virtual space, and how these artworks express something in particular and have a message. So about that choice, because creating digital art is different from one creator to another. There is like an aesthetical line, let's say. Uh, do uh, do you have this aesthetical line, um, like something specific about creating art, digital art, and a certain type of art? Finally, it's a question. uh,
I'm not sure I understand the question. I'm sorry.
it's more it was more a comment slash a question. It's about the content, actually, the more what the artworks are expressing. It's just not an object, a 3D model in the space, but this artwork may have like a strong message and express something in particular. So when you create art shows and virtual exhibitions, the choice of artworks, do you think specifically about this? Uh, um, uh, Actually, the idea that the artwork has also to express something and has a message in particular, and has the social or political dimension.
Sorry, but I think I have a problem with sound.
Okay.
No, it's okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, it's an interesting question, Elhem. You know, I think part of being a curator is when you're curating a show, of course, you come up with the idea for what you're hoping to communicate more generally and then specifically, and then you do artist studio visits to see what work will fit with that theme and those ideas of yours. And so it really depends on what you're curating. Are you curating something that has a social and a political context, and how you integrate the works that you're seeing that the artists are making into those ideas?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Julie, for your answer. Maybe we come to the end of the session, and we will talk about a complementary topic with Céline Thomas, who is a PhD in aesthetics, sciences and technologies of art. She graduated from Angers School of Fine Arts and has a master's degree in law, economics, and management in the cultural field at the University of Angers. And she's specialized in the preservation and enhancement of the digital art heritage during her PhD in the University Paris 8. And she participated in the research projects, including the LabX Arts H2H, with the project Digital Art and Prosperity. And I guess this is a subject that is very interesting for all of us, and also for our speakers, how to preserve digital art today, and what's the future of digital art. So I call Céline on the stage. You are already on the stage, Céline. So please move forward.
Hello. I have no idea where I am. I cannot see.
Okay, so we will take it slow. Try to turn around using the arrows.
Hello. I cannot see anything where I am on the stage because I have something
Okay, so
in front of
click,
my.
double click
I
on the
cannot see.
floor. Use
So
your
if you say turn
yes,
around, I turn
exactly.
around.
Yeah, exactly, and you can move now. Bravo. This is okay. So
Cannot do that.
yeah, you can do. You are doing it. So move forward.
Can I stay here because I don't know?
Okay. You can just turn around a little bit more. Just click on the arrows. Yes, exactly.
Okay,
Yes,
like
and
that.
move forward. Yes, and now move forward.
No.
Yeah, yes, move forward.
Ah, sorry.
Um,
Sorry.
yeah, take your time. You can move forward. And I would like to thank again Myriam Achard,
Cannot move.
Valérie Hasson-Benillouche, Julie Walsh, and George Vitale. Thank you again for this amazing debate. Yes, exactly. Yes.
Elhem, is it okay?
It's perfect. You can stay there. It's perfect. So, Céline, I leave you to begin your presentation about the future of digital artworks.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everybody. First of all, I would like to thank Judith for incredible work she's doing with Recto VRso and this virtual edition. I would also like to thank Elhem, of course. I am delighted to be with you today. Of digital art work, I intend to discuss here the preservation of digital artwork that exists at a given moment and the possibility because first of all, the problem must surely be apparent to everyone in constant evolution. Digital art is highly dependent on a technical environment and a certain existence for digital artwork, and puts in jeopardy the creation of a digital art heritage. It is a fact for a few years, and mainly during my PhD. It is also a complex subject in which the point of view of the protagonists of the preservation of digital art, computer scientists, etc., sometimes intersect, but also confront and even oppose each other. Initiatives on the subject have intensive direction. Thus, what I wish to do is to share with you as clearly as possible, despite the diversity of practices on the subject that have emerged in recent years. You will also quickly understand that this leads to other pourquoi ça marche pas? Sorry, can I interact with my PowerPoint?
Céline, if you like, you can tell me to. Yes, you can tell me to move the slides if you have a problem with that, and take your time. Take your time. The presentation.
I cannot. Okay, can you move the slide, please? Because I cannot do that with my computer, it seems.
Yes.
Necessary evolution of the preservation approach. Okay.
Céline, you say the word, and I move the slides for you. And it's more normal if there is any lags because there is just a few lags. So take your time.
Okay. So first, I would present the necessary evolution of the preservation approach for and address the question of the adaptability, variability, and instability of the artworks over time, and how we can guide these works over time. Digital artwork that I developed in the framework of the LabEx Arrache des Arches project entitled Digital Art and Posterity for Preservation Purposes. To begin with, let us recall that traditional preservation is based on the definition of a fixed understood through the maintenance of artwork's materiality, and as much as possible, curators avoid intervening on the object to maintain its physical integrity to alter it. Indeed, the fundamental notion of authenticity is based on this physical integrity. Slide, please. However, this approach doesn't give a chance. Furthermore, if in traditional museums the instruction is not done or any art that requires the spectator's participation, the rule is quite other, since it's more forbidden not to touch. Here again, digital art lacks. But it is very important to clarify, and I insist, that digital art it's not the only one art that jeopardizes the sustainability of artwork created with material and media that degrade over time, or with industrial and consumer objects mass-produced. Slide, please. The solution found by the curator was to replace this problematic component of the artworks as much as possible in order to maintain its physical appearance. To illustrate this point, the first, it that worked the physical impossibility of death in the mind of someone living from 1991, which contained a glass box. After 15 years, this sharp decomposition becomes so apparent that the artist regrets that the shark deformed is no longer sent its message. So, to restore it, the solution was to replace everything entirely to find an identical appearance. New sophisticated shark conservation process. For sure, you might as well take advantage of science advances. This community. A slide, please. Yet, the artist defended himself, but the original intention. This totally redone artwork was for him the same work. Slide, please. I now come to my second example, which allows me to present a new approach to preservation that appeared in the approach, and this concerns our digital artwork. While the curator, Johnny Polito, was working on Dan Flavitt's artwork at the Guggenheim Museum, how excessive it was to have built up a large stock of red neon lights since they were going to be withdrawn for sale. Even absurd, an end will have an end. So he tried to consider other simple options to replace these neon lights. Well, after an investigation, Flavin was going to buy these neon lights at a supermarket without especially considering the color. So the question arises, should we respect the appearance of or should we take into account the artist's approach and then choose to purchase a neon light that still exists today in the supermarket without taking account of the color? Thus, in the field of preservation, the notion of intention and artistic approach counterbalances the artwork. It becomes possible to adapt the artwork while respecting the author's intention. This approach is all artwork through change. Slide, please. People Son, curator at the Tate, also suggests to adapt artworks in artwork of time-based media, and in particular in what she calls instead events. These are artworks that are when they are exhibited. She compared them to musical works that play from a notation system and generate different instances. Interpretation, performance implies allowed to make some variation. Share with music works the notion of replayable events, and they allows greater variation than any traditional artworks. Digital artwork, she will suggest that artists should specify its artwork, so that together they can define the guidelines for the authenticity of the work and the respect of its physical integrity has been here replaced by the identity of the artworks and the identity parameters. It is also the collaboration between the artists and the curators that becomes more important. Slide, please. Tell artworks. Preserving these works, which often requires the participation of the spectator, is to make it activate over time. They must continue to work through the experience they offer to the spectator. On the technological context, according to what we have seen, the solution to preserve them would be to accept that they can take it to a environment over time. This is not without asking many questions about how the work can evolve without altering its slide, please. And again, slides, please. Important to save and maintain in the artworks over time. During my research, I met different people from the preservation of digital art consensus answer. Slide, please. Some will highlight the importance of the author's intentions, parents, or further, it will be essential to keep the technological material because it's part of the history. Aiding the materiality of the artworks is essential because above all, we have to protect its ecosystem, which has historical tests allowed, except the identical replacement. This leads to certain deaths of the artwork. It is a medial archaeological approach. For example, during an exhibition that took place in 2015, named An Archaeology of Lipid's Works Sick or in Pain, without seeking to repair them or apologize for the fact that some has no longer working. It reminds me of the Charlot collection at the National Library of French, which preserves objects ranging from the first consoles. Slides, please. This collects the functioning of work simply to maintain their physical appearance. Finally, for this type of approach to preservation of a past that it is not necessary to find again. So we can look, but we cannot touch. Other will, but try to maintain the original aesthetic appearance. It is often a question of slowing down the new performances of the technology in which reactivated. Others will consider that it is a concept of the artwork that matters more, and then furthermore, when the artists themselves reactivate their work, it is tempting for them to make it evolve, to offer something that was not possible at a given now possible. But is it still the same work, or a new version of itself? Slide, please. Our creation process. To illustrate this, I will take the artwork of Judith Guez, L'Absurde. This virtual reality install a virtual world with a light and to observe the virtual space transforming around him. During his short career, which began in 2014, the art guarding to his staging. To show the evolution of this work, the artists have chosen to add the version number to its title, the latest. The title does show that the work remains a work in progress. How far we can go? Infinitely far. So it is certainly the artist's death that will put a stop to it, or its exhaustion. Dirty. The art slide, please. The artist, Raphael Lozano Emmer goes even further, sharing the source code of Harry with level of confidence. So whoever wants can use it for its own work. For him, I'd future projects and at the same time preserving his own work. Viral preservation, therefore. In any case, we finally cut work can have several possibility existence over time. Only way to see the future of the same artwork. Same in order to guide and support the reactivation of artwork, slide slide please. Activation of artworks and their necessary adaptability and variability. Many projects and artists have looked into the subject, and all of them come to the same conclusion. We must document and describe the artwork. We have to create the most precise knowledge of. I'm not. I'm going to move forward to
slide
next
21. Is it okay?
Proposition because
Céline?
yes, it's okay. And
do you want
yes.
me to move forward or to stay on slide 21?
Please.
Yes,
move.
okay. Descriptive model.
No. Yes. Okay. Elhem, it's gonna be very. It's going to be very difficult for me because I have so much slide now. But okay.
It's okay. We take our time and don't worry. Just tell me when to move.
Sorry. So I will now present to you the information model of digital artworks, which I developed during my research and as part of the Digital Library of France, the INREV laboratory, and the Living Art Lab, namely a library, a research and artistic creation laboratory, and a production structure with a work of description of digital artworks for the purpose of preservation and transmission. Indeed, the description turns out to be a guide for the reactivation of the works, but also a notice to allow the safeguarding of the history of the work. The has to be established in the form of a model. That is to say, with a single descriptive model, it was necessary to match the diversity project partners. In short, it was a question of establishing here a basis of the most likely. We have designed an information model around two moments of the artwork's life. On the one hand, which correspond to the conception of the work from the beginning of an idea to the work concretely obtained. On the other hand, which correspond to the artwork when it is exhibited and reactivated by the public. Slide, please. Okay, and slide, please. These two great moments were then divided into sub-moments in which we capture work states are linked to each other. Slide, please. Then each work state has developed and clarified by a structure, please, which this information are defined and named in natural language. Slide, please. We choose to create a model where information is classified from the general to the particular, since it was important for us to understand, also to understand its particularity. I will now quickly come back to a few points of this model so that you can better understand. In the genesis of the work, we highlight the sensitive and approach of the artist and try to identify the origin of a creation. Slide, please. Okay, I think I will stay on this slide because it's impossible. So the moment I'm talking is a moment in yellow, and it's about the genesis of one or more author and their artistic intention. And in this moment, you can find this kind of information, and we define each person with a lot of different information. Yeah, it then materializes and evolves according to the reality it anchors. Thus, the realization of the work in orange envelopes action circuit, program architectures, softwares, their execution environment, as well as the necessary computer equipment. Reception process, and the second part, the reception process, is also divided into two sub-moments. Talk about the moment in blue. And this sorry. So I'm sorry. I'm going to talk about the blue moment with the work performance, which represent and meets the publics. The term performance insists on the fact that the work is not a simple device, but a real-time process, an experience to be, in order to capture the interactivity of the work into complementary ways. This moment comes. The first is the installation of the artwork, all the elements we need to present the artwork. And to complete this description, we have created an entity dedicated to its behavior, and which we called the work experimentation. And to build this model entity, we relied on the virtual reality reference model developed by Alain Berthoz and Jean-Louis Vercher. This led us to develop an approach to interactivity detached from the material device of the work to focus on the one that creates the artwork. A model necessary allows to link all of this work performance to the green, where we present the circumstances of the exhibition. The uniqueness of this model is a process in preservation, although it is not really so much take into account in the method of preservation. It seems to be okay. Now, Elhem, can you please move slide a lot of slide? I will say to you stop. Again. Again. Before? After?
After, I guess this one?
Yes. Great, thank you. The state of artwork are linked together. And I was thinking earlier of the transitory states that within this project, we decide to organize the states through a network and to define them. We initially use the term generic term version of the artwork to characterize this process evolution. And to do this in our system, this version of the work states that you see, which have what you see on your screen. And from there, you can move slide. Yes. And from there, a work concept can generate an ultimated number of work realization, which can generate an unlimited number of work performance, etc., etc. An exponential, we can retrace the history of the work as well as at the future evolution of a work. We have applied this model to enable us to carry out our work of collecting information, developing interviews and questionnaires for artists. We have also declined this model with standardized data model, and we used it to propose a cataloging model for the National Library of France. And I'm really sorry, it is very difficult to stop it. It will be my conclusion. Sorry.
Thank you, Céline, very much for your presentation. There was a problem with sound, so we needed to adapt. This is also how we deal with the virtual and all the technology. But if I can say, Céline did an amazing work on the question of preservation, as you may see through her presentation. And I highly invite you to read her thesis or to consult her thesis entitled Crossed Views on the Digital Art Preservation Approaches, Perspectives, Expectations, and Disciplinary Fields in Action, that she presented in November 2019. And also Céline had the chance to create digital art exhibitions. If you feel comfortable, Céline, we can take one or two questions, and we will take it slow so you can answer them. Okay, so maybe I can say a few words about Céline's project and the complexity actually of her model that the model that tries to actually follow every step in every dimension about the digital artwork. And this model was actually very helpful for many artists in the field, and including us, because we've known Céline also in Paris 8 at InRev Lab, digital images and virtual reality, and she when she created this model, a lot of us were looking at it and realizing the complexity of the process of creation. And Céline goes far in her process. She doesn't only talk about the creative process as you saw through her presentation, but also all the conditions of exhibiting and how the environment in which the artwork is set and exhibited contribute to its essence, and how to take this into consideration to preserve the artwork and to document it as it should be documented, raising also the question of adaptation, because we had a lot of discussions before with Céline about the status also of this artwork when it's adapted, documented, and consulted afterwards, how it becomes. Is it still the same artwork or it's a document? All these questions are very interesting and well addressed in her PhD that I highly recommend you to consult. Céline, do you have something, anything else to add?
Me? I
Yes.
don't. Ah, uh,
You can also if you are interested because of the sound problem, you can contact Céline later, and to also meet her, whether in the virtual space or elsewhere, to ask her more about her project. Maybe Elise Asport is typing, so I will wait few seconds to see if she has a question. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Elise. Um, so thank you again, Céline, and thank you very much for taking this time to present your work, your research work tonight.
thank you.
Yes, thank you, Céline. Thank you, Elhem. I think we can upload Céline warmly. Thank you very much. Sorry again for the technical inconvenience, and yes, feel free to go see Céline afterwards and chat with her in the Recto VRso
Sorry
space.
also.
Well, this presentation ends our conference program for today. We now have until 7 p.m. to visit and see the different exhibition areas, so feel free to explore the different areas. Do not hesitate to ask our volunteers for more information about the galleries and artworks. And at 7, we will gather in the concert venue to dance together to end today's program in music. So thank you, everyone, and have a lot of fun, and thank you for today.